Good morning, happy Woden Day. Woden Day, Wednesday, rainy day. Amazon, flash briefing.
Jamie, here's the latest from your flash briefing. In NPR News.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Korva Coleman. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is making a case for Americans to continue funding the war against Russia. He spoke today with NPR's Steve Inskeep.
Zelensky is here in New York for meetings at the United Nations, and he arrives at a moment when further U.S. support could be stuck in Congress. Some Republicans have questioned the value of it. He mostly spoke in Ukrainian, but when talking of the two countries' shared values, switched to English.
Yes, of course, we have the same values, freedom and democracy, and that's why we are fighting against Russia.
Zelensky is soon heading to Washington, knowing most lawmakers support him, but a powerful faction does not. Steve Inskeep, NPR News, New York.
President Biden returns to the sidelines of the UN General Assembly today. He's meeting the leaders of Brazil and Israel. Biden and Brazil's president will announce a partnership for workers' rights. Biden's meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is underway. Attorney General Merrick Garland is testifying before the House Judiciary Committee. Some Republican members have harshly criticized his agency for its investigation of former President Donald Trump. Garland told lawmakers this morning he runs a non-political agency. A former Marine at the center of a January 6th conspiracy theory is expected to appear virtually in federal court today. Ray Epps is charged in connection with the insurrection. NPR's Kristen Wright has more.
Ray Epps is charged with disorderly or disruptive conduct on restricted grounds. A lawyer for the former member of the far-right Oath Keepers says Epps is expected to enter a guilty plea at a hearing today. Epps became the target of false claims that he was acting as an operative of the FBI to incite supporters of then-President Trump on January 6th. The agency has denied involvement with Epps. He says he traveled from Arizona to Washington, D.C. because he believed the election was stolen from Trump. Epps told CBS's 60 Minutes he and his family received death threats over the conspiracy theory. He claims Fox News propagated the conspiracy and has filed a defamation lawsuit against the network. Kristen Wright, NPR News, Washington.
The California Water Resources Control Board is restricting water access for the company that bottles and sells Arrowhead Mountain spring water. From member station KVCR, Anthony Victoria reports.
The cease and desist order requires Blue Triton, the company that bottles Arrowhead Mountain spring water, to leave millions of gallons in the San Bernardino National Forest. It's in the mountains east of LA. Activist Amanda Fry hopes the decision brings life back to the creek that the water has been taken from for years.
So the springs flow, the ecosystem comes back, and it can return to its perennial spring flow.
Blue Triton is vowing to defend what it says are its rights to take the water. But the Water Board has said the company doesn't have water rights. For NPR News, I'm Anthony Victoria in San Bernardino.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up 160 points. This is NPR. Officials in Nagorno-Karabakh say they have reached a ceasefire deal a day after large-scale fighting broke out in the separatist enclave. Azerbaijan's government claimed it launched an anti-terror operation there. NPR's Charles Maines reports from Moscow at least 32 people were reported killed.
The apparent halt in fighting comes after Azerbaijan vowed to continue military operations in Nagorno-Karabakh, barring total surrender by ethnic Armenian forces. Yet Baku has now paused its offensive under a ceasefire brokered by Russian peacekeepers in the region. In return, Nagorno-Karabakh's separatist government promised to disperse army units and hand over military hardware ahead of reintegration talks. Azerbaijan's offensive has raised concerns of a wider regional conflict with neighboring Armenia. The South Caucasus rivals have fought two wars over the enclave, most recently in 2020. The apparent ceasefire follows large protests in Armenia's capital, calling on the government to intervene on Nagorno-Karabakh's behalf. Charles Maines, NPR News, Moscow.
Policymakers for the Federal Reserve will conclude their two-day meeting in Washington today. They're talking about short-term interest rates. Many analysts expect the policymakers won't raise the rates at this meeting. The Fed has been aggressively boosting rates to fight inflation. Federal regulators say they are starting to tell people whose kids played the video game Fortnite and bought in-game virtual items that they could be eligible for a refund. That money is part of a legal settlement with the parent company of Fortnite. I'm Korva Coleman, NPR News from Washington.
Hey, it's A. Martinez here to tell you about NPR Plus. NPR Plus gives you access to...
Skip. And the kids say
In NASA news,
they'd rather just keep the atoms and
the
play
first
Fortnite.
asteroid sample collected in space by NASA will arrive on Earth Sunday, September 24th, and there are multiple events leading up to its landing. NASA astronaut Laurel O'Hara and 2 cosmonauts safely arrived at the International Space Station Friday, September 15th, bringing its number of residents to 10 for the coming week. In celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, NASA is releasing new content for Universo Curioso de la NASA, the agency's first Spanish-language podcast. A 5-episode season will start Tuesday, September 19th, with new episodes released weekly. NASA will host a media teleconference at 1 p.m. EDT on Wednesday, September 20th, to discuss the agency's first test of high-bandwidth optical communications beyond the Moon. The Deep Space Optical Communications DSOC technology demonstration is launching aboard the Psyche spacecraft Thursday, October 5th. NASA astronaut Frank Rubio will speak to media about his record-breaking mission aboard the International Space Station during an Earth-to-Space call at 12:15 p.m. EDT Tuesday, September 19th. Virtual news conference is the final opportunity to hear from Rubio while he is in orbit on this year-long mission. In weather. Currently, in Seattle it's 53 degrees Fahrenheit with cloudy skies. Today, you can expect clouds and showers with a high of 64 degrees and a low of...
Off. Amazon. Tell us a joke.
Recently, an optometrist went to work without their glasses. For an eye doctor, that's pretty short-sighted.
Okay. Happy Woden Day. Halloween coming up next. Oh man, get ready.